The courtroom was packed. Every seat filled, every eye locked on one man. Elon Musk sat at the defendant's table, his posture relaxed, almost too relaxed, considering the storm brewing in front of him. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed faintly, but the real energy in the room came from the tension thickening by the second. At the bench, Judge Robert Calloway adjusted his glasses, staring down at Musk. His expression, calculated, amused, a hint of condescension. The air was electric, thick with anticipation. People weren't just here for a hearing, they were here for a show. "Mr. Musk," Judge Calloway began, his voice slow and deliberate, "I trust you understand the gravity of these proceedings?" Musk didn't flinch. He merely tilted his head, the faintest smirk tugging at his lips. "Of course," he said smoothly. "I wouldn't miss this for the world." A few reporters near the front exchanged glances. He wasn't acting like a man under pressure. Judge Calloway leaned forward. "Good, because today, Mr. Musk, you're not on a stage. You're not at a product launch or making one of your, let's say, eccentric social media posts. You're in a court of law, and here you will act accordingly." A ripple of murmurs spread across the gallery. Was the judge trying to put Musk in his place? If so, it wasn't working. Musk clasped his hands together, nodding thoughtfully. "That's good to know, Your Honor. I'd hate to think I showed up at the wrong venue." The room stiffened. The judge's lips pressed into a thin line. He wasn't amused. Not at all. "Let me make something clear," Judge Calloway said, his voice sharpening. "I am in control of this courtroom, not you. You may be the wealthiest man in the world, but in here, you are no different than anyone else sitting before me. Do I make myself clear?" Silence. All eyes were on Musk. Waiting. Watching. He exhaled slowly, then leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "Crystal clear, Your Honor," he said. But his tone, it wasn't submission, it was something else, something unreadable. The judge tapped his gavel lightly, as if grounding himself. He had expected deference. Instead, he got Musk. And then, just as things seemed to settle, the judge's voice dropped lower. "Good," he said, "because I have some questions for you, and I doubt you're going to like them." The courtroom held its breath. The tension in the courtroom tightened like a noose. Judge Calloway adjusted his glasses again, his fingers tapping lightly against the bench. He had the air of a man who had played this game before, a judge who had controlled powerful men, who had reduced CEOs, politicians, and celebrities to nervous wrecks under his questioning. But Elon Musk wasn't like the others. "Mr. Musk," the judge continued, his tone measured, "you have a habit of making bold claims, a habit of bending reality to fit your narrative. Would you say that's fair?" A murmur rippled through the room. Reporters jotted notes. A few people in the back exchanged knowing glances. The judge was going for blood. Musk, however, just raised an eyebrow. "Bending reality?" he repeated. He tilted his head, as if considering the phrase like a scientist evaluating a new hypothesis. Then he shrugged. "I prefer to call it innovation." A few audible exhales. Even the stenographer hesitated before continuing to type. Judge Calloway didn't react immediately. He simply leaned back, fingers steepled, eyes fixed on Musk like a predator studying its prey. "So, you admit it then?" the judge pressed. "That you shape facts to your benefit?" Musk let out a quiet chuckle, shaking his head. "Your Honor, I deal in facts," he said. "I deal in what's possible. If some people find that hard to grasp, well, and that's not really my problem, is it?" The courtroom stiffened. Judge Calloway's lips thinned. He wasn't used to this. Most defendants, even the rich, even the powerful, knew when to back down. But Musk, he wasn't playing the part. "Let's test that theory, shall we?" the judge said, flipping through his notes. You've made quite a few statements recently that seem questionable at best. For example, just last month you claimed that by the end of the decade, humans will be living on Mars. Now, Mr. Musk, I ask you, under oath, do you still stand by that claim? The trap was set. The courtroom leaned in. This was the moment. The judge had baited him into a concrete statement. If Musk doubled down, he'd sound delusional. If he backtracked, he'd lose credibility. But Musk, he didn't hesitate. Absolutely, he said, and probably sooner. A stunned silence. The judge blinked. He had expected deflection, doubt, hesitation. Instead, Musk had doubled down, completely unshaken. A few people in the audience actually chuckled under their breath. Not at Musk, at the judge. Because for the first time, it wasn't Musk who looked caught off guard, it was Judge Calloway. The moment was slipping, and the judge knew it. His jaw tightened. Then I suppose you wouldn't mind explaining exactly how that will happen? He asked, his voice clipped, his patience beginning to fray. Musk just smiled. With math. The room broke. Gasps. Chuckles. Even a few outright laughs. Judge Calloway's face darkened. This wasn't going as planned, and it was only getting worse. The air in the courtroom shifted. Judge Calloway had walked in with a plan. To put Elon Musk in his place. To use his own words against him. To make him look foolish, unprepared, reckless. But somehow, in just a few exchanges, the balance had tilted. And not in the judge's favor. The muffled chuckles from the gallery hadn't gone unnoticed. Reporters scribbled furiously, their stories already writing themselves. Musk was supposed to be on the defensive. Instead, he was sitting back, relaxed, completely unshaken. And the judge? The judge looked rattled. Judge Calloway adjusted his glasses, forcing a tight-lipped smile. A classic move, reassert control. Mr. Musk, he said, his voice sharper now, I'd appreciate if you took these proceedings seriously. Musk blinked, innocent, unbothered. I am taking them seriously, Your Honor. A pause. Then, just for effect, very seriously. The way he said it. Calm, deliberate, perfectly timed. Sent another wave of tension through the room. A few rows back, a lawyer cleared his throat. Even the stenographer hesitated before typing. Judge Calloway was losing the room. His fingers curled slightly over the bench. Then, perhaps, he said, you can explain why exactly you believe sending people to Mars is not only possible but imminent? The trap was being reset. But Musk didn't even blink. Sure, he said easily. Physics. The courtroom stiffened. Judge Calloway's lips pressed together. Mr. Musk, I'm not interested in vague answers. Neither am I, Musk shot back, leaning forward slightly. The judge's face flashed red. This is a court of law, Calloway snapped, not a TED Talk. Silence. Then Musk, still composed, still completely in control, nodded slowly. Understood, Your Honor, he said. Would you prefer I explain it through legal precedent? Perhaps reference a specific statute about interplanetary colonization? A snicker. The younger reporters near the front were struggling to keep their expressions neutral. The judge exhaled, pushing forward. Let's talk about something a little more grounded, shall we? His voice was colder now, clipped. Your influence, your responsibility. You have millions of followers who believe every word you say, many of whom invest based on your statements. Are you aware that your words have real consequences, Mr. Musk? Musk didn't react right away. Instead, he tilted his head. Are you saying words don't matter in this courtroom? The question landed like a hammer. The judge's face twitched, and in that moment everyone knew it. He had lost control. The silence hung thick in the courtroom. Judge Calloway didn't answer right away. He couldn't. Not without walking into a trap. If he admitted that words mattered, then Musk had a point. His statements carried weight. just like the judge's own words in this courtroom. But if he said words didn't matter, then why was he even questioning Musk in the first place? Musk had flipped the argument in less than 10 seconds. A few quiet murmurs rippled through the audience. Reporters scribbled faster. This wasn't just a court case anymore. It was a power play. Judge Calloway's jaw tightened. He glanced at the stenographer as if buying himself a second to think. This was going sideways, fast. "Mr. Musk," the judge finally said, voice clipped, "I am not here to debate philosophy with you. I am here to determine whether your public statements have led to financial consequences that warrant legal scrutiny." Musk nodded slowly, as if he were a professor patiently waiting for a student to catch up. "Ah, so we're back to finance," he said. "Great, let's talk about that." Judge Calloway blinked, thrown off by how quickly Musk had taken the reins. "You've publicly claimed that short sellers manipulate the stock market," the judge continued, regaining his composure. "Do you have any evidence to support such claims?" Musk tilted his head slightly, amused. "Do you have any evidence that they don't?" The courtroom shifted again. This time, a few people outright chuckled. Not loud enough to disrupt, but enough to be noticed. Judge Calloway's fingers curled against the bench. He wasn't used to this. Defendants usually squirmed under pressure. They deflected, stumbled, hesitated. Musk was doing none of that. Musk clasped his hands together, speaking calmly, deliberately. "Your Honor, short sellers bet on companies failing. They spread fear, they manipulate narratives, and they profit when stocks drop. That's not speculation, that's what they do. The only difference is, I called them out on it." Judge Calloway narrowed his eyes. "And in doing so, you influenced the stock price of your own company, did you not?" Musk smirked. "Ah, so now you're saying words do matter." The judge stilled. A low murmur rippled across the gallery. Even the prosecution lawyer sitting at the opposing table shifted uncomfortably. Judge Calloway inhaled sharply. He had been backed into a corner. Musk wasn't defending himself anymore. He was controlling the conversation. And now, for the first time since the hearing started, the judge was on the defensive. The courtroom felt different now. The power dynamic had completely shifted. What started as a hearing meant to put Musk on the defensive had turned into something else entirely. A battle of control. And right now, Musk had it. Judge Calloway's fingers curled into the wood of his bench, his face carefully neutral. But the slight twitch in his jaw gave him away. "Let's be clear," the judge said, his voice now sharper, colder. "You are not the one asking the questions here, Mr. Musk." Musk gave a small, patient nod. "Of course, Your Honor. Please continue." It wasn't defiance, it was worse. It was unshaken confidence. The judge cleared his throat, flipping through his notes a little too quickly. He was searching for something, a moment to reassert control. "Mr. Musk," he finally said, "your repeated public statements have caused fluctuations in stock prices, affecting investors on a massive scale. That is a fact. Do you deny that your words have influence?" Musk leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "Oh, I don't deny that at all." The response was too smooth, too effortless. Judge Calloway hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, but that was enough. Musk tilted his head slightly. He had caught it. "So, let me get this straight," Musk continued. "I say something. People react, the stock moves, and that's my fault." He let the question sit for half a second. Then he leaned forward. "Should I also be blamed for gravity?" The audience broke. Low chuckles. Even a few outright laughs. Judge Calloway's jaw clenched. "That's not the same thing, and you know it." "Do I?" Musk raised an eyebrow. "Or are we just selectively deciding which forces influence the market?" The judge was losing them. The gallery, the press, even his own courtroom staff, they were all locked onto Musk now. And worst of all, the prosecutor sitting at the opposing table was visibly frustrated. He had been banking on the judge controlling this, keeping Musk cornered. That wasn't happening. Judge Calloway slammed his gavel, hard. "Enough," he barked. "This is my courtroom, Mr. Musk, and in here I decide what is relevant." The courtroom fell dead silent. But not the kind of silence that restored order. No, this was a different kind of silence. The kind that told everyone in the room exactly what had just happened. The judge had snapped first. And Musk? Musk just sat there, his expression unreadable. He didn't need to say anything, because in that moment it was already clear who had won. The courtroom wasn't just silent, it was waiting. Judge Calloway had lost control. Everyone could feel it. The reporters, the attorneys, the spectators, even the bailiff. And Musk, he just sat there, calm as ever, letting the weight of the moment settle. The judge's outburst had done exactly what Musk had expected. It proved his point. Calloway's fingers tightened around the gavel. He exhaled sharply, trying to regain his composure. "Let's move on," he said, his voice clipped. "Mr. Musk, do you acknowledge that your statements have real-world consequences for investors?" Musk nodded. "Of course." The judge blinked, surprised at the lack of resistance. "You do?" Musk tilted his head slightly. "Yes, just like every headline written about me does, just like every rumor, every false report, every opinion piece disguised as news. Words have consequences, I don't deny that." A few murmurs rippled through the gallery. He had flipped it again. Judge Calloway narrowed his eyes. "So, you're admitting your influence?" Musk leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on the table. "Your Honor, let me ask you something." His voice was steady, unshaken. "If a media outlet prints an article that causes a stock to rise or fall, should they be held accountable for market manipulation?" The judge hesitated. "That's not the same," Calloway finally said. "Journalists report, you make statements that move markets." Musk shrugged. "And how is that different? When I speak, I'm giving my perspective, my belief in where technology is going, where humanity is heading, and people react, investors make choices." His eyes locked onto the judge's. "Are we punishing people for having opinions now?" The air shifted again. This wasn't just about Musk anymore. It was about power, influence, control. And the judge? He could see it slipping from his grasp. Judge Calloway's shoulders tensed. "This court is not here to debate philosophy, Mr. Musk." Musk gave a small nod. "Of course, Your Honor." Then, after a pause, he added, "But history will—" Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. The reporters near the front were scribbling furiously, knowing they had just gotten the quote of the day. The judge's jaw tightened. Musk leaned back, crossing his arms. "I think we're done here," he said simply. The judge exhaled through his nose. He glanced at the prosecution table. The lawyer there had given up trying to salvage this. The hearing wasn't over, not officially, but everyone in that courtroom knew the truth. This had started as an attempt to humble Elon Musk. Instead, it had become his stage. Judge Calloway tapped his gavel lightly. Once. "Dismissed," he muttered. Musk stood up, buttoning his jacket. As he turned toward the exit, a voice, low, gruff, came from the gallery. "Damn." And just like that, it was over. What would you have done in Elon Musk's place? Was his confidence justified? Or did he push the limits? Do you think the judge lost control? Or was Musk just too sharp to be cornered? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. This wasn't just a legal battle, it was a power play. Do you believe Musk's influence is a problem? Or is he just playing the game better than everyone else? Let's discuss. If you found this story interesting, hit that like button. It really helps. And if you love powerful, real stories like this, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. The world is watching. The stories keep unfolding. Let's explore them together. Until next time.